Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago, and joining us, and we've been having these conversations. It's Be All In. It's conversations, breakfast conversations, and Frances Bain Cumberbatch is on the Morning Brew. She holds a very long title. It's an impressive title. She's head of Legal Corporate Secretarial Department of the ANSA McAL group of companies. Before that, she held a position at J.D. Celia. She's an attorney at law, and she's here not to talk about the legal ramifications in life. It's a story about her quest, her desires, and what she not only sacrificed, but how she found that balance. And this has been a fad word that we've been using because we're celebrating women and all of the achievements over the last decade. Yesterday, I heard some interesting statistics that it's probably going to be in the next 100 years, some quoted 200 years, that women will truly get this balance, this equality, and this equity. But there are women that are standing their own. There are women, even or despite the fact that they are the minority in a boardroom, their voices are heard. Well, Frances is one of those women. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Hema. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Now, let's start with the big topic. Balance and better. Better for, it's a fad word everyone is using it. Better. What do you understand by that?
Well, we as women have a lot of balls to juggle. And you have to sort of balance home life, work life, your social life, and your well-being. For me, you have to start off with your well-being because nothing else is going to fall into play. Now, of course, that's nice language, nice flowery language, and we all as women find that very difficult to do. But for me, I start there. I start there in terms of centering myself every morning, making sure that I'm calm, and just looking forward to planning for what is to come that day or that week or so on. But you must start there in order to have that full, wholesome balance of work and family life and just existing and contributing to society.
When you talk about your well-being, as a woman that holds a title, head of legal, of one of the largest conglomerates in the Caribbean, how do you take a moment to find your balance before you start the day, before emails start inundating you, calls, and you're working on different time zones as well? How do you carve that space?
Simply by discipline. You wake up every morning and you discipline yourself to take at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes to center yourself, to look inward. And if you're a spiritual person, I am a spiritual person, so I communicate with my Maker every morning and ask him to guide me.
Looking at your faith, and I read in your bio, in one of the interviews that you did, about the passing of your parents and how you lost your parents at a very young age and how that impacted you. At the age of 18 and 19, did you understand the concept of loss and how that shaped you?
Well, Hema, sometimes in life you have no choice. I had to understand it. And it was interesting when you mentioned this morning, life goes on. And as I mentioned to you, 2 weeks before my father passed, he said to me, life goes on. I had no idea that one morning I would get up, see him, say goodbye, and then not see him again in the afternoon ever again. So I had no choice but to deal with that. And it did form me as a person, and then subsequently losing my mom 3 years later to the month exactly, because they both died in April. It was something that it helped me to very early on be able to deal with setbacks and recover quickly from those.
When I read about it, your father seemed to have impacted your life a lot. I know he was a school principal.
I adored him. You have to understand, I was an only child and a girl. So I was my father's eyeball and I adored him. So it was a loss that to this day, I don't know how I coped with it because it was so sudden.
Yeah.
But my faith did help me with that. They provided me with that grounding, both of my parents, and it helped me.
What is the one thing that your father said to you that has made your personal credo?
You can do anything you set your mind to.
It's interesting that you say that because a lot of women look to their fathers to develop that either strength or that ability to stand on their own. You are in a male-dominated field. In fact, even when I look at the pictures of the ANSA board, let's be real, women are still striving to get that balance. Are you intimidated in any way when you walk into a room of men? When you walk into a room of men whose family legacy and their name is just synonymous with power in this country, how do you stand your own?
Can I say this? I'm not intimidated in the least. One of the things women have to know is know their worth. It is a huge responsibility. It is a huge opportunity, but certainly intimidation, no. And I would say this, the men in that room would not look on me very, how should I say, in a positive way if I were intimidated by them. Mm-hmm. So they know that I give them my opinion. I give them my opinion straight. And they know that's who I am.
You obviously developed that strength and that belief from your father very early on. Was there, when we talk about women succeeding in the corporate world, and you sit in one of the most successful companies in the Caribbean, how do women, we look at two extremes. You have women who say, well, I'm soft and I appeal that, and there are other women that say that I have to be a badass bitch, and quote unquote, to make sure that I move the corporate ladder. How do you find that? Where do you get your strength in that?
You know what I would say, Hema? What you have to be is yourself. Because if you're anything else but yourself, you're not authentic, and to me, you will not be effective. So for me, my credo is to be myself. I do not pretend to be anybody else. I have the ability to read people very well, in my view, and therefore, yes, you sort of adjust sometimes your communication to be effective with those people. But I do not pretend to be anybody else but myself.
Was there ever a time that you had a moment, let's talk even about when you left JDC, which is a pretty stable, you're part of a big firm, there's always someone to just buffer the effect of any big bad decision that may have occurred. I mean, I always love the comfort of middle management there, and then when it gets a little bigger, making that jump to hold the title of the head of a division of a huge company that your decisions will impact billion-dollar decisions. How difficult was that conversation with yourself?
Okay, yes, because Celia is, one of the oldest and most reputable firms in Trinidad and Tobago. So to make that decision to go into corporate life was a big decision. And as you said earlier this morning, there are moments when you doubt yourself. I can say in short that it's a decision that I do not regret at all. But when I left Celia, I did not jump into the position as the head of legal. I came in as a corporate attorney into ANSA McAL. So I was not leading the department. I worked my way, and based on performance, this is where I achieved, and that's how I achieved my current position since 2009.
Do you think that you had to work 10 times harder in life as a woman, not just in corporate, but in the legal profession?
Well, that's a philosophy, not just in the corporate world, but I've always thought that I had to work 10 times harder, even before I even thought of working at ANSA McAL. So that work ethic sort of continued along the path.